that valuable information. If you heard my opening remarks yesterday, we talked about one of the things Governor Kasich had us do right away is contact other states to get the valuable lessons of those who have gone before us. And Oklahoma and North Dakota, both Tim and Lynn have been very, very helpful with that. Well, Rick, thank you for sharing and explaining those numbers. A lot of people ask, why is this important? And here's the reason. According to the Energy Information Administration, over the last 5 years, Ohio homes use an average of 280 billion cubic feet of natural gas each winter. Ohio homes, because of the Utica Shale, Ohio now produces more than half of the natural gas we need to heat our homes during those cold winter months. And not only are we becoming more energy independent as a state, we're becoming energy independent as a nation. And at the reception last night, Governor Bryant talked about how important that is and how important that's going to be. Our march to energy independence doesn't rest solely on oil and gas production companies, however. There are multiple reasons these production figures are growing. The development and growth of the Utica depends heavily on the midstream infrastructure necessary to collect, process, and ultimately distribute that vast resource underneath our feet. Now let's begin our discussion by asking JobsOhio Managing Director David Mustine to update us on the midstream investment here in Ohio. David?
Thank you, Director. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be with you today. And as just to follow on with Rick, we knew that the upstream part of this play was going to be driven by geology and production, being able to mobilize the rigs and the equipment needed. But the area, so we didn't put a lot of emphasis from a JobsOhio standpoint to the upstream and the key service providers. So what JobsOhio did, and by the way, we're the private economic development organization for the state of Ohio, created by Governor Kasich, wanting to do something very different than what's been done over the last 30 years or so in our state in economic development. So we have our own board of directors and business people. In fact, Gary Himmiger, the CEO of Marathon Petroleum, is on our board. And we've brought in industry people to work alongside economic development professionals so that we can work with companies, help keep companies in Ohio, help them grow in Ohio, and then also attract new ones. So my background is energy, so my task is to focus on the energy, chemical, polymer sector of the state. So we didn't focus on the upstream because we knew the drivers were really not dependent upon typical economic development tools. We focused on the midstream, and this was really a new industry for us, and it's been growing at an amazing pace. You think about really in about 24 months, Rick, when you say 24 to 30 months, we've gone for no investment to over 8 to 9 billion. In fact, I think it's probably closer to 12 billion when you add in some of the major pipeline announcements that we've had just recently. We have some very significant players here, M3 Midstream, the Williams Access now there with Williams' position in the Access Midstream Company, Mark West, NiSource, and Cayman Energy, all active. I think one of the keys for us was to get the fractionation facilities in addition to the processors. We knew that the processors needed to be closer to the production, but the fractionation was pretty critical to position us to maybe get some additional development downstream, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. If you look at our focus, maybe if we look at the next slide, yesterday Glenn Richardson, a colleague of mine, very strong manufacturing background, spoke at one of the breakout sessions about supply chain, and we think that's an area that we're already strong in. We make a lot of products in this state that are used in the oil and gas industry, and we want to build upon that segment, or cluster, if you will. So that's one area of opportunity. The other one that we see is expansion of our existing kind of petrochemical facilities. We have two good examples of that. One actually in western Ohio, Jim, so to see shale impacting the western part of our state, and that's in Lima, Ohio, when Potash announced a major expansion of their ammonia plant. It was about a $200 million expansion, probably $300 million investment to all in. Very large natural gas user. They make ammonia and urea at that site. I do not believe we'd have had that expansion had it not been for the shale development. And I will give a nod to the Marcellus. The natural gas increase in production with Marcellus, now add Utica, has really made a difference for a big natural gas user like that. Another example of an expansion that we've had as a result of Shale has been Marathon's announcement to add a splitter to their to the Findlay facility, also to Catlettsburg in Kentucky, but the one we focus on is in Findlay, Ohio. In Canton, Ohio. So that's another significant investment directly tied to the condensate production in Utica. So those are a couple of wins we've had. We're also looking at a number of companies. It's been quite interesting. Even in last week, for example, we had, I think, 4 new inquiries from chemical companies that are really paying attention. A lot of them are international, that are really paying attention to the fact that in Ohio and in our region, we have 2 things. We have, one, the market. When you look at the polyethylene and the polypropylene that's used in the United States, about 24% of it is used in our region, and Ohio is the largest consumer of those products. We have well-established companies like Poly One and Lubrizol that make products, for companies in our region. So we have the market, and now we have access to the feedstock. And as a result of that, companies, particularly foreign companies, are paying very close attention to possible development in our area. So we're focused on large natural gas users and companies that add value to the wet gas stream. Methanol plants, PDH, propane to propylene. We have some large propylene users in Ohio. Combined cycle gas turbines. We have a few projects that are in late stages developed there. And of course, steam crackers. And we know that steam crackers in our region will be a benefit, and we're working with the companies that are made commitments to the region, and there are others that are continuing to look at this region, and we're competing for those. So this is where we're focused on the downstream. We're excited about the ongoing development of the midstream, and we think that this is going to result in some very significant economic growth opportunities for our state. As the chief said, it's early days, but it's great to see some of this initial investment coming in to position us to have further growth downstream. I think that's what we're going to cover this morning, Jim. Thanks.